Coming up on today's After News, WWE is better than selfish AEW. According to a wrestler,
CM Punk back in a WWE ring.
Joe Hendry provides an update on his TNA contract status.
And we have a rumour killer on the AEW Stadium show for now.
I'm Adam Wilborn.
I'm Michael Hamflett.
And this is the news.
Oh boy.
So, lead story. WWE officially better than selfish AEW. According to Moose.
Oh,
you don't let me finish.
Sorry, right, yeah.
Yes,
right.
He has been giving an interview. He gave a great interview recently, by the way, which is well worth checking out with our very own Andrew Pollard. It's on this channel. Go and check it out after this news video. But yeah, he was talking to Metro, which for the uninitiated non-English or UK viewers is a newspaper you get whenever you get on the bus.
Yeah, free paper on the bus. Big fan.
But they do some good stuff with wrestling as well. And they were chatting to Moose, basically comparing the partnerships that he's lived through, obviously, that TNA has had with AEW, which was back in 2021, I believe, and obviously currently with WWE and specifically NXT. And talking about the NXT relationship, especially ahead, of course, of Slammiversary coming up this weekend, he said, I think this is the best relationship that TNA's ever had. Way better than the one we had with AEW, better than what was done with AAA and any other company. I think this relationship with WWE, both companies respect each other and are doing great by each other, and there's not one company that is being selfish. Both companies are doing great. I think this is how relationships are meant to be in pro wrestling. TNA and WWE is doing the best job of it. First of all, before we get onto the AEW selfish side of things, I have to agree, I am loving the crossover between NXT and TNA. Getting to see the Rascals on NXT this week was a real highlight of mine, and we'll talk a little bit about Joe Hendry in due course, but it has worked wonders for WWE and arguably tried to bring the spotlight as well onto TNA. Slammiversary selling out, of course.
That's it. There's been some jokes, I think, at the expense of TNA for the idea that, there's the Rascals, there's Jordan Grace, there's Joe Hendry, the biggest star that feels like he's being poached in plain sight. And yet, Slammiversary selling out suggests that even if it is, and this is not me saying Justin, Izzy Dame or a Tatum Paxley or whoever, they built the Ash by Elegance match at Slammiversary on NXT show that I can't remember the name of it or where it was based for that matter, but it was a PLE.
Which one was it actually? It wasn't Heatwave, was it? No, it was the one before that?
It was on the West Coast where I think you can gamble.
Okay, yeah. I think if I remember rightly, it was NXT Battleground. You're grounded! Battleground! Bam! You're a winner! Ding, 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 because it was based in Vegas. That's the
That's
noise.
it, right. And of course, if you were going to stay in Vegas,
where would you stay?
Probably the beautiful Oyo Hotel and Casino. But it was kind of like, there's been a little bit of gentle ribbing, I think, at TNA sending over all of these, some of their most biggest names.
Yeah.
And in response, NXT were like, all right, take this up and comer, take this star that
Tatum Paxley obviously fighting Jordan a while back.
You might not know the names of the people that might not necessarily generate a bunch of buzz, but there is enough buzz, I think, around the brand and around the overlap and this kind of current relationship to generate the sellout. 4,000 tickets, I think, in Montreal for Slammiversary. Like, that's not even one of them like sellouts where they've had to cheat it. It's just a very, very respectable number, more than respectable, if anything, and like a legit domestic, I guess you could say, with kind of sellout for TNA. So business feels better for the relationship for now. Now, we have to sort of approach with caution. If you know your wrestling history, and Moose does and should, working with WWE just always works out brilliant for everybody involved. Yeah, you have to approach these situations with caution. You have to sort of be aware that often what WWE will do will intentionally create this nice, seemingly friendly bond with another organisation until it's got exactly what it needs, until it's stripped mined everything, and then there is nothing left. Nothing has killed TNA ever. Like, it feels like TNA will be here long after any of us. It'll be TNA and the cockroaches one day. So I don't think that WWE can do quite that to TNA, but great that Moose, who has lived through these things, who can speak with more authority certainly than me, is having this time. But I think it's worth exerting a bit of caution as well to say that everything will just be sunshine, wine and roses forever.
But let's talk about this relationship they had with AEW, of course. I mean, we did watch episodes of TNA Impact back in the day because the likes of Kenny Omega were on there, but was it more AEW gaining from TNA for you?
Well, yeah, it was. Short answer, yeah. I don't think TNA came out of that relationship particularly well. Moose is interesting in the fact that obviously he worked Kenny Omega. He had that match with Kenny Omega. And, you know, Kenny Omega worked various days as the Impact World Champion at the time. The Impact World
Christian
title
Cage, of course,
was defended and indeed won by Christian Cage within, that was on AEW Rampage, I think, the first episode. There was the legendary moment where Don Callis reveals that he's with Kenny Omega and he's going to take the title to Impact and all that. There were flashes of excitement. There were kind of, oddly, considering that we're talking about WWE as a comparison, there were kind of bigger capital M moments in the AEW relationship, whereas this one has been more about the matches, which feels a bit like a sort of role reversal. We'll see how it ends up, but I think there is lots of reason to be positive about the WWE relationship, but just as many to be cautious. Personally, that would be my take on it.
Yes, exactly. Let us know your thoughts on the relationships that TNA have had with WWE and AEW. And speaking of people who've had a relationship with WWE and AEW,
Punk is back in the news. When's he ever out of it?
Yeah.
Really? That's the punker. But he's back in the WWE ring, Wellborn.
yes!
Hopefully this time to get cleared. We can't confirm that just yet. PW Insider wants to come through with the news, but then so did social media. CM Punk was at the Performance Centre this week and he was in the ring and he was going through yet more tests, we believe, to get cleared. Of course, WWE are seemingly building towards Drew McIntyre versus CM Punk at SummerSlam. But
so two and a bit weeks away, is that?
Not long at all. But kind of like the rest of the feud, their delaying tactics have been absolutely sublime.
Yeah, Drew's still suspended.
They've kind of kept each man off television when the other person is in town. Seth Rollins has been like thrown into the mix because of obviously all of his previous with Punk and this renewed little bit of anger he's got with Drew McIntyre as well. He feels like a nice safety bet for the company if they can't get the good news on Punk. But Punk indeed was sort of, well, we don't know this as a fact, but theoretically at least running the ropes in the Performance Centre. He also uploaded a video with Cora Jade and Roxanne Perez. Cora Jade had the Steve Austin knee brace on as she recovers from her latest injury. They were making jokes about how they haven't been alive as long as Dad's been wrestling. But yes, fingers crossed, obviously, we get the good news. Punk will, of course, be on Raw this week from Green Bay, Wisconsin, I believe it is, where hopefully, with any luck, he too will be able to give us the good news.
I have to keep reminding myself that outside of their interaction in the Royal Rumble, Drew and Punk haven't had a match yet.
No, it's quite
mad, isn't it?
Their physical interactions have been limited to obviously the running.
Half a year without having an official match.
Drew, when Punk came out with the arm on after the Rumble, attacked him to make the injury worse. That was on a Raw in January, I believe. It's WWE's realistically maybe their hottest story. Maybe you think it's the Bloodline, but I would say you'd have just as much of an argument for Drew and Punk main event at SummerSlam as Cody and Solo at this point. It's massive. It's absolutely massive.
Crossing everything, and you would assume that Punk is cautious about returning in terms of, you know, he's rushed back before and obviously had his issues there, and you sense he and WWE want this to be more than just a huge match. It is a huge match for SummerSlam, but they're going to want Punk to work from all going well, touch wood, from now. They'd love it to be from now forever, but from now at least until WrestleMania, because you can plot, you could pluck literally names out of a hat of dream matches that we still want to see with Punk now he's back in WWE.
It's such a nightmare when Punk's injured, of course, because you can bring him to TV and, oh no, we can only cut promos and have like angle after angle that gets a combination for the angle of the year. It's such a nightmare with a talent like Punk.
Yeah, it is mad that if you'd have told me when he came back at Survivor Series, he's barely going to work in 2024. He's also going to be involved in almost every world title story for the 6 months that he is on the shelf for.
Garage Door at SmackDown in Chicago, like an all-time WWE visual. Yeah. Get well soon, Punker.
Indeed. Let's talk now, though, about Joe Hendry. We alluded to him earlier on, talking about the relationship between NXT
You have to
and TNA.
allude to him, because if he says it, it ain't right.
Oh, God. We have got another great interview with him as well on the channel. But he's been chatting also with Talk is Jericho host Chris Jericho, clarifying his situation within TNA and his contract there. Obviously, like we say, people are moving between TNA and WWE, and the way WWE have utilised him has been brilliant. He's been sensational, of course, and you sense there are going to be people within WWE who've seen the reaction that he's got across social media, breaking records left, right and centre, and just in arenas, even if you just allude to him or tease him or flash his mug up on screen, that maybe WWE are going to want to poach him. But clarification about his contract, he said, we've got a while on his TNA contract, but because of the working relationship, I really feel anything is possible. I'm very thankful to TNA management. Anytime, not once have I gone to them with an opportunity, and not once have they said no. I've gone to them and said, I think this would be great, and they always support me. There was a time recently I went to TNA, they had some big matches for me coming up, and I said, I want to go to Orlando, train with Ace Steel, Natalya and Tyson Kidd. If you want to help me facilitate this, I would appreciate it. And they said, what can we do to help? Whenever I've tried to invest invest in myself. TNA has helped me do that. They've been behind me all the way. They're very giving to the ideas and opportunities that present themselves. I really feel like anything is on the table. He's the hottest star in pro wrestling arguably today, because he's just a viral mega star, but understandable, and I don't think I'm revealing too much here with our relationship with Joe, that he is incredibly appreciative that TNA is the one that has helped him get that leg up. He's obviously, we've had stuff with him back in the WCPW days, he's been on the indies for forever, and then he did Ring of Honor, and then obviously Ring of Honor, AEW stuff. Went to TNA, and I was always hopeful for Joe within TNA. I always felt like that was the best place for him at that time to help him grow. And my God, has he really utilised that spot?
It's kind of a reminder, this, isn't it? And we forget sometimes when we talk about contracts and people moving, mainly between the big two, WWE and AEW, but wrestlers are independent contractors. And Joe Hendry is speaking here about that tightrope you've got to walk as an independent contractor, where TNA kind of exists as his primary employer, but you know he was here in Newcastle last weekend, I think, working a North show.
Yeah.
He obviously would have taken time to.
He's got his own promotion, which is great. Go and check that out, by the way.
Like, he would have been taking time to promote the single when he was like trying to crack the charts here in the UK.
Yeah.
Everything he's done with NXT. All of that, I guess, needs some degree of rubber stamping from TNA. The training that he talks about here, it's give and take between Joe Hendry, the wrestler, and the current promotion that he calls home, especially if long term he wants to call a different promotion home. Like right now, obviously, WWE opportunities feel like they are opening up to Joe Hendry for the first time, but if you burn a bridge, you never know if you might need to walk back across it. It's a very delicate and difficult thing for wrestlers to navigate, and it just feels like right now Hendry's getting that right.
Yeah, it's awesome that TNA have given him these opportunities or allowed him to do what he has, but all credit to Joe, obviously, for doing this for himself. At the end of the day, like, when he's in TNA, and it's not AEW or WWE, but you've still got, and not saying that these people will try and take his spot, but you've got huge sharks there. You've got the people that they've brought in that have left WWE, your Mustafa Ali's, your Nick Nemeth. They've got stars that have been there for ages in their own right, your Mooses, your Josh Alexanders. Let's not even forget about the likes of Jordan Grace and other people like that. Deonna Purrazzo obviously was there as well. So, like, it's a lot of fighting to get yourself noticed on that sort of card. Matt Hardy obviously has just gone there.
Yeah.
So all credit to him for, to use the age-old phrase, breaking through that glass ceiling, because you know, without the effort that he's put in, he would have been recognised. I have no doubt as a star. I think he's so talented, like I say, but there would have been an almost like you can be internet champion, and then that's kind of your level. Now he's right up there. He's fighting Moose the world title.
He could win the belt as of this weekend. You know, it's and they may choose to do that as a way to, again, from their point of view, be like, let's see if we can muscle back in on this and keep him happy longer. You know,
but he does feel, like right now, I understand TNA will want to keep him, obviously, and he has that commitment to the promotion. But like I say, he's the biggest star in wrestling right now. WWE's the biggest wrestling company right now. It's understandable that those two will want to work more and more together, and it seems like that's the direction they're going, watching him weekly on NXT, which is such a cool sentence to say.
It's cool, isn't it? Yeah. And while he's working in America, of course, he probably wants to work a massive stadium show.
Yeah.
For now, at least, the only place he can do that is in WWE. As Tony Khan has been on to address a rumour that was doing the rounds about AEW possibly booking a stadium in Arlington, Texas, so one that me and you have actually attended, where they do cracking brisket.
I think that might be my favourite sandwich I've ever had.
Stadium food. That's why America's better. You can say that about stadium food, and it's true.
I want to go back there just for that. I mean, an AEW show there would be class as well.
The beautiful AT&T Stadium, of course, the site of WrestleManias 32 and 38, was rumoured from some Fight for Select reporting and a little bit of, I guess, sleuthing and putting some clues together about Tony Khan's existing relationship with those officials in Arlington and in Texas, and some discussion about a major stadium show in the United States. Of course, I guess the closest they've done to stadium events in America is Arthur Ashe, whereas, we've got the two Wembley shows over here with no confirmation of exactly what might happen with All In 2025. But Tony Khan was speaking to comicbook.com regarding just how immediate all that might be, and he said, quote, "It's not something that we would be looking to do anytime here in the immediate future, but it is an exciting idea and something I think we could absolutely do, and something that would be very interesting." Then sort of in relation to the Fight for report, and he added, "I can't comment on the accuracy of such reports or the immediate future, but we've had great shows over the years in Texas. We've never done an AEW pay-per-view in Texas, a lot of Ring of Honor pay-per-views, a lot of AEW's biggest TV episodes, but the one thing we've never brought is an AEW pay-per-view, and Lord knows there's a lot of demand for it. I think it would be a fascinating thing for us to try. Yeah, AEW in Texas, it's always been a hotbed for the company. They're about to run the Arlington Collision residency over the summer, pretty much taking us right the way to Cardiff Dynamite and then All In.
Oh God, yes.
So that's going to be a run of quite hot collisions, which is always a benefit for AEW. It feels like, it's weird, right? It feels like the talking is, like, all the conversation is moving towards the stadium event for AEW in America, whereas right now it's hard to imagine, like, how easy it would be for them to generate the business.
Yeah, we speculated on this when we reported earlier on in the week. Call me cynical. I think this is Tony Khan saying we're not quite ready to announce it yet. I think this is still going to happen because the noises that I'm hearing, the great reporting from the likes of PW Insider and obviously Fightful Select, who are always on top of these sorts of things. I remember in the report them saying they're probably going to make an announcement before the end of 2024. So they've still got a lot of time to get their ducks in a row and
could be later
dot
on
the I's and
sooner,
cross the T's. I see it happening. Like we said when we talked about it, it is a big swing. It's weird to say that for an American-based company who would come in here and doing, like say, Wembley Stadium again in just over a month's time. But you know, we talked about it when we were chatting in the thing we shot earlier on today about that Ospreay MJF match. AEW are making attempts to recover the slide that we've seen them on in terms of, I don't know, reception, attendances, whatever you want to call it. And yeah, look at the talent they've got. I think they could probably put on a show that would attract that number of people. But right now, if they said we're doing it before the end of the year, you think, is that going to be able to sell out, considering the amount of shows they've done in America? But yeah, I think 2025 is a reasonable time to be looking at. I hope it is going to go down because I think it'd be also, I want every wrestling show to be able to sell out stadiums.
Ambition is cool as well.
Yeah.
It's one of them things where I think if, you know, even if it comes down to the fact, I remember the WWE run the Rumble in '97 in the Alamo Dome. It was not a hot time, and there's still conversations about you could go to Taco Bell and get some tickets with your order. I don't think it's going to be quite that extreme for AEW, but a lot of people will want to be part of. It's like a huge first, and it's a huge event. And
you
again,
were there, you were there last year.
That's it. It's got like the last year's 80,000 plus at Wembley Stadium was as much part of being there for the first time ever. If you're going to be part of the first, you know, we've got a lot of American viewers and listeners. Would you, if you were in America, go to AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas, where we can recommend the brisket, to be part of the first ever AEW stadium setting? They would absolutely book a card to support that kind of show. We pretty much know that as a result of what we've seen from the booking patterns in the past, maybe with the exception of last year's Wembley. So I feel quite strongly that it would do better than people think. But it's a big building.
Yeah, they do. They've done huge shows throughout the year. They've done obviously more and more pay-per-views as the years have gone on, and it's one of those where they could think, okay, we've got this casual audience, we've got this dedicated audience who are always going to be coming to the pay-per-views and what have you, and they're always going to do well on that side of things. But we've got this casual audience who may be being priced out. I don't know. So, do you want to sell 10,000 tickets at $40, or do you want to sell 40,000 tickets at $10? I'm not suggesting that's what they're going to necessarily do, but like just for the atmosphere, you'd almost rather do the second scenario there because a huge packed out stadium, it'd be amazing.
Create the visuals, create the looks.
But for the time being, it looks like the only big stadium show they're going to be doing is All In, which goes down next month, doesn't it?
Yeah, August.
Big day that. I'm trying to plan my day out for it now.
Okay, yeah.
I'm going to go to All In. First time for me, obviously.
Yeah.
Thanks, my son, for being born last year. But yeah, lucky enough to be able to go this year. But I want to make it a full weekend of it. It's the August bank holiday weekend. I want to really cram stuff in on that Sunday. What's your thoughts? You've done this before, so I want to take some ideas from you. Like, have I got time to do stuff in the morning? Or?
Oh, well, you see, you could, but what you ideally want to be doing, because it's so busy in London.
Yeah,
the Tube is incredible. Don't get me wrong, London Underground, one of the best.
CM Punk could absolutely verify that fact.
One of the best underground services in the world. But like, if I'm going, and I am, I would probably want to get to the Wembley area quite early, because you don't want to be caught in that crush. You don't want to be caught in any kind of rush.
No, like midday at the very latest.
Absolute latest, I'd say. You want to be no more than 5 minutes away from Wembley by midday.
And you want that like club atmosphere, don't you?
I certainly would like that. Yeah.
I mean, you want to make that crystal clear. So anything else you could think you could do on the day? Or
I don't know, I would probably get myself to the Crystal Club, which is just minutes away from Wembley Stadium, where you can us two and the rest of the gang fighting around maybe.
I think that's going to be great. Keep an eye out for that, and we're going to announce where you can get tickets for that sort of thing very, very soon.
Exciting.
But I'm worried I'm going to get a taste of the Crystal Club and be like, I need a little bit more of this. I'll probably come back after all then. Anything that you could recommend after that?
You're not going to believe this.
What?
If you've got a taste, you can have a full old belly, right? Because you can go to Sweet Chin Disco after the fact.
Sweet Chin Disco, that sounds amazing. Tickets are available for that right now, aren't
They are available right
Just
now.
go and search for Sweet Chin Disco. They got it looks like potentially a huge night. They'd have to get a pretty massive legend to host that sort of thing, wouldn't they?
I think they probably would, yeah.
Well,
And
fingers crossed they can do that.
Yeah, they do. Prince Nana. But also...
Max Caster.
Yeah, but also Wilborn's going to be there. And we'll all be kicking around as
What?
well. It's a wrestling themed club.
The big
night.
three. It's the one that the fans are all asking for.
What?
Max, Nana, Wilborn.
Where else but Sweet Chin Disco to go for like wrestling vibes after All In kicks out? It's so close. Don't go and get in the queue for the Tube. It's a fool's errand. I lived that nightmare last year. Don't try and get out of Wembley. It's pointless. Wembley Park is absolutely rammed. Stick around to see us making daft videos after the show, and then get yourself along to Sweet Chin Disco. It's wrestling club vibes all night till like 3 in the morning. It is literally minutes away. You'll know that if you've already been at the What Culture live show taking place before All In. Tickets on sale as soon as we can get the website working. We're very, very excited. We'll keep plugging away, but we'll get the links out as soon as we can.
Yeah, more on that as and when we get it. But for now, check out this morning's news video where we talked all about Will Ospreay versus MJF on last night's Dynamite.